Go for it.
So I'm Noah Taylor. I'm a junior. And this past summer, I was with some people back there. We went to Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan in an extended study. So it was very fun. I learned a lot over those 3 weeks. The story I'm going to tell today fits loosely, we'll say, in these categories. So I'll tell a story of Tom, who's sitting over there, and myself. We went and visited a bathhouse while we were in Uzbekistan. So I kind of had some expectations coming in of what I think like an Uzbek bathhouse would be. And I guess in ways it met those expectations, and in some ways it didn't. So firstly, I'll just explain what happened. It's like in the middle, it was in one of the main cities, and it was in a big marketplace. It was kind of like a little small shopping looking place on the side. So we went in and we said, how much for one of the massages? And he was like, I don't remember how much. It cost us about $20 US. So that was definitely like a very, very expensive thing, but we were like, hey, might as well do it. So we went, we got money, and then we paid him. And then he took us into the back room and it like began. So we went there. And the first thing he tells us is to, they also speak Russian, by the way. I don't speak any Russian. So Tom was loosely my translator. So he was like, began by saying, take off your clothes. And so we stripped down, he gave us a towel, we went into the back, and it was very neat. It had like really nice like stone walls. It kind of looked like an old sewer system-ish, kind of how I imagined a bathhouse to be. I'm like, this is very exciting. We walk in, there's an old man who's like, not too old, like 50s. He's naked in the corner. I'm like, all right, this is exactly what I expected the bathhouse to look like. And then we're walking into the corner, and he's like, please sit here. So we wait there for an unknown amount of time. We weren't sure how long to wait, so Tom and I are just sitting there. It was very hot and sweaty. And then eventually, he doesn't show up, so we're like, all right, we're going to go back to the front. And ultimately, he does come back, and the massage begins. So he asked us which one we want to go first, and since I didn't speak any of the language and Tom did, we let Tom go first. And this is where it got a little more interesting in terms of what we expected a massage to be. It's certainly not what it is here. So I'd say, looking at Tom while I was sitting in the corner, it was more of like a pain test than, say, a massage. So he starts off by like sitting you on this like very large slab of rock in the middle of a large room. And he gets a bucket of water from I don't really know where, and then dumps it on him. And then eventually like lays him down on his back, and the process begins. So it starts off like, from what I'm seeing, like pretty good, like a little bit of rubbing on the back. But then he does some of these funky things. Like for instance, one of the first things he did was like grab your arm and pull it all the way up until it really hurts, and you pull your shoulder a little bit. So that was definitely that was the first tearjerker. But beyond that, it was this guy. It was actually previously the naked guy in the corner. That was actually our masseuse. So he comes back, and beyond that, what else he do? He does like some funky things with your leg. He pulls it really high up. But then the greatest part for me, just to watch, was the man. He goes and he jumps up onto this table, this slab, and then stands on the back of our butts and grabs your legs and just kind of swings you like a fish. It's like this process kind of thing. So it was really definitely interesting to view. And then eventually it was my turn. And I was really just I tried to memorize exactly what Tom did, considering I didn't speak any of the language. So I kind of followed. I went through the same pain. It really hurt. But at the end, what else happened? I was sitting there and he had like this small little bucket of a little jar of something. I assumed at first it was hummus, and I thought it was a snack. But then I'm like, maybe he's going to rub it on us. But then he got a cucumber, so I'm like, okay, this is hummus. But it turns out it actually wasn't hummus, and he was rubbing it on us. And what it turned out later to be was like ginger, like pure ginger. And I'm like, oh, this is like fancy, very bougie, it's nice. But then I found out it really burnt, like a lot. And you rubbed it all over your body. And then after that, he took us to the back room. He let the ginger stay on us a little bit. And I didn't want to say anything, because I didn't want to be like, well, I'm having an allergic reaction right now. I hope Tom is feeling a similar way. So eventually I'm like, Tom, are you burning right now? And he's like, yep. I'm like, all right, it's both of us. Eventually he comes back while we're in the back room, he gets that empty bucket, and in the back room there's like this little hole where there was water. I don't know where that water came from, but that's the water he was dumping on us. So I found out where it came from. And he dumped it on us again, cleaned it off. And then eventually, after some sitting around in the steam room, we walked out, and I was in a bit of pain. But it was ultimately a great lesson in terms of, say, trying things that you thought you would really like and then not really like, but in the end you have a good story out of it. Also, I guess you could say it was a good way to be able to communicate with people necessarily when you don't really know what's happening. You just kind of got to trust them and pray that it will work out in the end, which I guess ultimately did, because I'm still here.
No, come back, get a t-shirt.
Wait, what? Leah, thank you for volunteering for this. What?
Someone volunteered to bring us this.
You ate, didn't you?
Yeah, I volunteered to eat. So, I'm Leo, and I went on the Freiburg study group to Germany, where I guess the intended thing is to study German, but people on the trip kind of also studied their own things, so it wasn't really for German, it was just more in Germany. Yeah, my last name is Ashensi. I don't know if that's important. My story may not be as eventful or physically stimulating as Noah's. However, it's a story of wanting to save human lives, in a way. So, to tie it into culture and learning and language, we have a very nice professor who leads the group called Matthew Miller. And he's not too old, but eventually everybody dies, and so he's kind of nearing that area. However, we obviously need a solution to this, because through his pedagogy, or his teaching style is really make sure a student learns, don't punish them for making mistakes or not always completing their work perfectly. He really values education in itself and having people succeed. And so we need to save a guy like this. And the way the Freiburg study group works is, at first you have something called the Bildungsreise, which is kind of like learning, traveling. And it starts out in Donau-Eschingen, which is probably where, if Matthew was ever reincarnated, where he would be born. Because he's so in love with this river that flows through a bunch of countries down this way, starting in Germany, going through Austria, into Hungary. Oh, it's called the Danube. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
In English, or the Donau in German. So when we first started out on this city, Donau-Eschingen, or the source of the Danube, we were told that there's a spring, obviously, from which the river flows, the start of this gigantic river, which takes you through country to country. And in previous times, people believed that bathing yourself in this would be sort of like a fountain of youth, almost that found in South America. Which would do what a normal fountain of youth does and keep you eternally youthful. Now it's just kind of enclosed in this little statue area, and I don't think people really believe that anymore. But when a few of my friends and I, Jack, Malik, and Dawson Highland, heard about this, we knew that we needed to steal this water in order to keep the German professor alive and continue his reign of education, of good education. So, on one of the last days we were in that city, we decided at midnight, okay, well that's not really late, or 6 a.m. Okay, we'll just say it was 2 a.m., it was actually midnight, but to go out into the very cold darkness of Donau-Eschingen, it was in March, and snowy, and take a little trip to the spring. Yeah. Okay, well, that sounded better in my head, but it was a very mystical journey. We had to pass by some cops that were just patrolling the area. We were all wearing like very heavy snow gear, so it kind of looked like we were up to no good. Which maybe we were, I don't know. I don't know what the trespassing laws for this area were. But when we eventually arrived there, we sort of flung Dawson over the edge, so we had to hang on the railing. In pitch black, there's like no light around this area really. We had to use our phone flashlights. And you had to hang down on the side of the railing just to scoop up this water. in a bottle that we got from a nearby store, I guess. But after we did this courageous action, I don't know, we never told Professor Miller yet. So the story goes on. The moral of the story is education is a process which never ends, and that's why this story today will not end. It's a cliffhanger. We have to see if Professor Miller will actually survive to drinking this water when we eventually give it to him, or if it was all a myth. But we'll find out. Yeah, that's the end of the story.
Thank you.
He was reaching.
I thought he was going to say,
Okay,
some
who's
just
next?
move.
Nate, do you have a story? Come on.
I'll go, please.
Okay, excellent.
I don't know if I have.
We'll let him think about it.
My name is Eli. I'm a senior. I was also on the Spring 2018 Freiburg study group to Germany. Like Leo said, we also have classes at the University of Freiburg in addition to Colgate classes. So I took a sociology class on gastronomy and food. So the professor does not speak a lick of English, has never been to America, and has never been to the UK. And one day, we just finished up presentations, and he says, Eli, can you stay after class? And I'm like, oh dear, did I do something wrong? So the class is filing out, and I go up to him and I'm like, hey professor, is there anything I can do? And in German you have to use the formal, so it's like, I'm really stressing out. And he's like, yeah, so you're from America, and my only experience with America is through Hollywood, and how does dating work in the United States? I'm like, okay. I was very off-put, because the man is married. I don't know if he's intending to visit or what, but I didn't ask personal questions. It was a little bit disconcerting to be put, in a position of representing all of America on such an open topic, especially one that I absolutely do not consider myself an expert in. And I made sure to put that up front. So it was, he wanted to know specifically, are there rules? So after the third date, are you a couple? And I had to say, no, I don't think it really works that way. I don't think anyone has such set rules, And this is a sociology professor, so he studies, human interaction and society more or less. So this was very intriguing to me that he thought, I don't know, we were such a mechanical people, when normally that's more like what we think of the Germans as. And so after explaining no, not really, sometimes people decide they want to be together beforehand, sometimes you only have one date and that's it. He asked, what do you do on dates? And I was like, well, that's a good question. Not sure I can answer that either. So I said, sometimes people, they'll go hang out, they'll watch a movie, they'll get coffee, maybe if they've gone on more than one date, they'll get dinner. And this really interested him because his specialty in sociology is food, and food in society. He's like, oh, why do you think that is? It was dating and food, and isn't it the same in Germany? Did you not date your wife? So I was generally very, very confused throughout that process, and I'd explain, we'd been talking in class about how the interaction between humans and sharing meals and how that helps us bond, or how it can be really, really, really awkward sometimes. And so I was trying to explain to him, and I'm sure he already knew, how if you can survive a meal together, maybe that means you fit together in some capacity. And he was way too intrigued for my level of explanation. And that's really the end of the story. Yeah, he's a generally very interesting dude.
Thank you. These are great stories, guys. Elizabeth, do you have a story?
I'm a judge.
You're a judge. I thought we saw you beckon and written with your hand. I wonder if you had a story.
I was saying hello to
You were
Shelly.
saying Who'd like to go next?
Should I give like a logistical nightmare story? I would love to hear a logistical nightmare story.
So I don't know if you guys all know this, but the UK was like professors were on strike, so we didn't really have any classes while we were abroad, except for like our Colgate. I was on the Wales study group in Zoe. And so our professor kind of like decided, we like had the physics class, we had it like 4 days a week or something like that. And the professor like decided, because all the classes were canceled, to like cancel a class. So then it would allow us to have like a 4-day weekend, something like that. So a couple of us decided we wanted to go traveling during that time, and like the cheapest flights ended up being to Cologne, Germany. And you know, like we go to Bristol, which is about an hour drive from Wales or Cardiff where we were. And we had like a bus that was supposed to take us back, but then all the buses were canceled, everything was canceled. We ended up in the airport for like 8 hours. We're all just sitting there trying to call our professor to be like, what do we do? He's not responding. We're all freaking out, on the verge of tears. It's terrible. We like end up we try to go to the town. We end up getting an Uber to go to the town and try to go to a hotel for the night until like the storm is over. All the hotels are booked. So like we're like all thinking we're gonna just end up like in the snow outside, not sure what to do. But then we ended up like figuring we could get like an Uber XL for all of us. There's like 6 of us. And the Uber costs like £400 though. So it was just like the most stressful situation. And the Uber was like the scariest Uber I've ever been, because like we really shouldn't have been driving in those conditions. It was scary. The roads are not equipped. But that is all I have. It's just a nightmare.
Thank you, Joey. You did a t-shirt. There.
I don't have like any like long stories, but I have like 3 like really short ones.
Vignettes?
Yeah, like 3 big ones.
Fabulous.
All right.
Please tell us 3 vignettes.
I also can't remember the categories, so I don't actually.
Oh, it doesn't.
Okay, whatever. All right, so my name is Nathaniel, and I was on the London history group this past spring, and I have like 3 little short stories, I guess, to tell. They're my British club experience, the time I almost got robbed, and then, I forgot what the third one is. I'll remember it at the end. But, oh no, it was when I accidentally attended a communist rally. Did not know what was happening. But anyway, so the first one, there was this nightclub called the Roxy that a lot of the people in my group would go to pretty regularly, but I never went because I'm not really a big party person. But one night, I don't know, like halfway through the semester, I decided to go with them. So I go there, right, they're drinking, I start dancing because I'm not really a big drinker. And I'm like dancing with people, but it's not too much is going on. And I'm like, people aren't really moving that much, so I don't know, I was like, I'm never gonna see these people again. I don't care if I look stupid. So I kind of start dancing kind of like crazily and just like having fun. And this Swedish dude notices me. This Swedish guy sees me dancing, like having fun and like going hard even though I don't really know how to dance. And so he starts hyping me up. And other people notice him hyping me up. And so then they come to watch, and then suddenly it turns into like, I'm dancing, and there's this circle of people around me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna keep moving. And like, my philosophy on dancing is, as long as I move with the beat, and I have a confident look on my face, I'll just keep going. I don't care if I look stupid. So I'm just like dancing, having fun, and like, it turns to this huge ring of people around me, and it just ends up, the nightclub just goes crazy, and like, people start going in a circle, alternating, everything like that. And it was just like a whole lot of fun. Everybody was dancing like crazy. That Swedish guy, never met him again, but he was awesome. Made my first nightclub experience a lot of fun. So yeah, that was great. And then second short one, I went to see Infinity War in the movies. I'm walking back at like 11:30 p.m. at night. And there's this thing in England that you might not know about, but they have a lot of moped robberies, where like people will drive up on the sidewalk in their mopeds and steal your phone. And we've been warned about this so many times that every time I held my phone, I wrap my whole hand around it. So I'm walking back, I'm just looking at my phone, holding it down, and I hear an engine behind me, which like, I didn't really think it through, because like, one thing, a lot of the UK sidewalks are huge. Like the sidewalk was like the size of, from these walls to these walls, and I'm here. So there's no reason an engine should be right behind me. And then I just see this hand reach out and grab my phone. And he like tries, and there's this moped driving past me, he tries to wrestle my phone from me, but I'm holding it tight enough that he can't get it, and his hand slips off because it was cold and his hands like couldn't get a good grip, and he starts driving away. And I just stand there like, what am I supposed to do? So I just look at him and I just yell, "Nice try," as loud as I can. I'm like, I don't know what to do, I just almost got robbed. And these like people walking 20 feet in front of me turn around and like, why are you yelling? I'm like, he tried to rob me, what am I supposed to do? So yeah, that was a bit confusing. And then the last little short one was I'd heard that in like the University of London's like their center campus, there's this group of Hare Krishnas that give out free food for lunch. And I was like, free food, I don't have to pay, that's great. So I go there, right, intending to meet one of my friends. Turns out they weren't there that day, but I see like all these people and this music playing, and it looks like fun, and there is a food stand. So I go over, I see the food's really cheap. It's like £1, like, wow, this is really cheap. So I start talking to them like, you know, why is the food really cheap? They're like, oh, you know, we're communists, we don't believe in charging money for things. And I was like, oh, that's cool, so what exactly is this rally? And they're like, oh yeah, we're protesting literally everything. And so this is like huge communist rally, like, yeah, we're protesting capitalism, the patriarchy, the West, everything you can think of, we're protesting that. I was like, that's nice, cool. So just sitting there eating my food as these people are telling me about like all the stuff that they're doing. And there's a lot of people like screaming to my right, someone giving a speech on top of a stand to my left. And I'm like, well, I get cheap food out of it, like, I'll attend this rally. So that was kind of interesting, but those are my little short stories. Oh, yeah, that's important.
Mine's not about myself. Oh, okay. Get a t-shirt right now.
Okay, hello, I'm Veronica. I was in Australia last spring on the Colgate study group. So, as I just said to Wendy a little bit quietly, my story's not really about myself. But it was either the first or second day I had arrived. I was texting one of my friends, also from Colgate, just because I didn't really know anyone yet, and I was like, hi, can I come hang out? And so I went down to his room because we were living in the same building. But everyone had, you know, their own apartment style with their individual bedroom and then like a shared common space. So I came down to see his room, and he's like, you have to meet my Australian roommate. He's the most Australian person you will ever meet. And I was like, well, probably because I just got to Australia, so that would make sense. And he was like, no, like, believe me, like, he looks like a golden retriever. And I was like, I don't particularly know what that means, but okay, so we're hanging out, we're waiting for this guy Harry to come home, and he walks in from outside. He's not wearing shoes, which is a very Australian thing we learned while we were there. So he's not wearing shoes, he's in like his wetsuit is hanging half off of his body, he's carrying his surfboard, like just came out of the ocean. This is the second day we were there. And so automatically that kind of struck a chord. I was like, okay, this guy's pretty Australian. And then he started talking, and I didn't understand a word he said. He had the thickest Australian accent ever, and I can't imitate it because I'm horrible at doing accents, but he was just such a funny guy, and like had shaggy blonde hair, like dripping wet with his surfboard. He did actually look like a golden retriever. But the most exciting part of the story, I think, this guy Harry started dating a girl from America, not from Kuwait, but someone else who was studying there while we were all together. Her name is Bailey, and they were very cute together. I hung out with them a lot. But he actually just got to the States last night to surprise her, and there was a surprise video on Facebook, and it was really cute, and I just watched it before coming here, so that's my story.
Come on, I can go. But
That was like very pretty.
My night short.
All right, hi y'all. My name is Jocelyn. I was on Australia with Veronica last semester, and so while there, I had decided that I needed to skydive. Like Wollongong had the skydiving place right on the beach, like just a beautiful place. So I decided to go skydiving on the same day that Veronica did. So we went together along with one of her friends, and that day of the skydiving we went, it was a Friday, we had a paper due for Professor Messer, I think, which I hadn't finished. I had slept 2 hours the night before I went skydiving, and this was like maybe like 9 a.m. So I showed up to the skydiving place, and I paid like my $400 to go skydiving, which is ridiculous. But I'm there, I'm kind of like really sleepy, I'm not feeling anything, like I'm not nervous, I'm not like anything, like just very not emotional. So we're getting suited up. I put on my suit backwards and then I had to take it off again, which was annoying. But we're getting ready. I'm asking Veronica how she's feeling, and you said you were like nervous, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, like let's just do this, right? So we get to the airport and we get on the airplane and get strapped in with our instructors. So I had this dude that had done like, I don't know, more than like 500 skydives. Like this is his full-time job. He skydives like 3 times a day or something like that. And we're walking to the airplane, we're in the back of the pack. And I'm like, I turned around to look at him, I was like, are we gonna jump first? And he was like, yeah, we are. And I was like, okay. So we get on the plane and we're sitting on the floor right by the door. And I'm still like not nervous, not anything, like I'm just very chill about everything. And it's not until we're up at the very top, about to jump, that like he opens the door and then my feet are now hanging off the side of the airplane. And this is when I have my oh shit moment. I was like, what am I doing? Why did I pay money to do this? I had like maybe 2 seconds to think about it, and then he shoved us out there. Like fell like face first out of the airplane, and I'm like screaming, and then I have the GoPro footage on my laptop, but the first thing that comes out of my mouth is oh shit, and then I'm like yelling. So we're falling, and then I think Veronica was like maybe second or third to last, and it was an amazing experience. But I had my oh shit moment right as I was going to fall out of the airplane. But then right after that, I was like totally fine. I was like, okay, I need to go home and sleep or finish this paper, one or the other. But yeah, that's my story.
When I say one thing, Dan, you didn't get it to the right at the end, right? Oh, so one more, that's my fault. I was just not paying attention. We have another here, right here. Hi. Where were you? Cool. Awesome.
Hi, my name is Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Hey, Kim. I was on the Spring London History Study Group. And so for me, something I was equal parts excited and nervous for going abroad was traveling. And I think something that contributed to my being nervous was seeing all of the Instagram posts from people from Colgate that had gone abroad before, because it's all very glamorous and everyone seems to be perfectly competent and know exactly what they're doing, and I get nervous in airports. So this was something that was going to be a big place of growth for me. And if you follow me on Instagram, D_Larson_, I probably exuded the same image of competence and glamour in my travels, and so I want to tell a story of something that was perhaps a little less glamorous. So the first leg of my spring break journey, which was 11 days, we had an awesome amount of time to travel, was going from Budapest, Hungary to Venice, Italy. And those are not necessarily two destinations people go back to back a lot, so then airplane prices were pretty expensive and, balling on a budget because I'm a abroad student. So I found an overnight bus that would take me from Budapest to Venice for about $30 US. And this is pretty good. Cost-wise, I think it's pretty great. But it meant that I was leaving Budapest at 10:30 at night and getting into Venice at 10 a.m. So it's like an 11, 12-ish time difference change, a little bit, hour trip. And it's a bus, so it's like not super comfortable. So this is really traveling the way that only a college student would travel. So maybe I was a little nervous for that too, I don't know. I did have a friend that was going with me, so I wasn't completely alone. So we finished up our sightseeing in Budapest. This is, night of. And we have like, an hour to kill before it's time for us to actually go to the bus station. So what do? Split a bottle of wine. That's what you do when you're abroad. And so then we're in our Uber, we're going to the bus station. And of course, we've had each half a bottle of wine, so we really have to pee. So we're like, this is fine. We'll go at the bus station. We're nice and responsible. We showed up about half an hour early, plenty of time to get to the bus. So on the way in, also trying to be kind and responsible, we donate all of our remaining Hungarian forints, like the coins, to just a homeless man that was outside the bus shelter because we're like, we're never coming back to Hungary. Like, we don't need these coins. We needed the coins. So we get into the bus station, and you have to have coins to get into the bathroom. So we can't get in. I can't go back and be like, excuse me, sir, can I have my coins back? We can't do that. So I'm just like, okay, no, it's fine. There's probably going to be a bathroom on the bus because it's like a long bus, and I travel here on buses to go to cross-country meets. We always have bathrooms. So, but just to double check, I pull out my phone and I'm looking through like the Flixbus, great company. Their like little description of like the ticket and what it includes. Like every bus has Wi-Fi, like extra leg room, and a toilet. And so I'm like, this is fine. We'll just wait half an hour more and we can go to the bathroom on the bus. So wait, we get on the bus. There's no bathroom. I don't see a bathroom. So we get on the bus, I walk back, there's no bathroom, there's no occupied signs at the front, and so I'm like, oh boy, I'm sitting a little bit cross-legged. And I'm like, it's okay, because there's like multiple stops in the journey. So we're gonna make a stop in a couple hours in Slovenia, and I'll just pee in that bus station, while we have our break. So a couple hours later, not comfortable couple hours, but a couple hours later. So now we're talking like 12:30 a.m., like, the dark of night in Slovenia. The bus driver comes on and speaks in Hungarian, and I don't know what's going on, and I don't know whether I can even get off the bus. Then comes on in English, I can get off the bus. I have about 10 minutes. I'm like, this is perfect. I only need like 2. So I'm sprinting off the bus. The bus station that we're at in Slovenia is unlocked, so this is great. So I'm going inside, I'm like, okay, I found the bathroom. Bathroom door's locked. And so now I'm in an absolute panic because this is like absolute code red. I have to pee so badly. There's no bathroom on the bus. The next stop is maybe a couple hours away, but by then it's going to be 2:30 in the morning, and it's probably also going to be locked. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go find some Slovenian bushes, and I'm going to pee behind the bushes. I still have probably 8 minutes. So I go outside, and of course we're next to a highway, an expansive concrete stretch. It's just a parking lot. There's no bushes. I can't pee. So I get back on the bus, and at this point I don't know what to do. I'm just at a complete moment of loss. So I'm texting my friends to complain. If they said there'd be a bus, I'm going to file a complaint. A toilet on the bus. There's no toilet. I'm going to complain. I'm texting my mom, like, Mom, I don't know what to do. And the responses I'm getting are pee in a bottle. And I have a water bottle, but I'm on a bus with like 40 other people. I'm a woman. I can't pee in a water bottle. This isn't going to work. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, well, I have about 9 hours until Venice. But that's probably also not feasible. So I really am in a moment of panic and anger and everything that goes along with both of those emotions. And then the man sitting in the seat in front of me, so I'm like towards the back of the bus because I had been really looking for this bathroom, gets up, walks to the middle of the bus, turns right down a couple stairs and opens the door to the bathroom. That was there the entire time. And so now I'm equal parts relieved and horrifyingly embarrassed. But the man goes to the bathroom, then he comes back, and then I go to the bathroom, and who knew that they put bathrooms in the middle of a bus? Not me. So it ended up being fine. I mean, I didn't sleep the rest of the night, and it was a very arduous journey to Venice, but I did get to pee. But I did not then tell my parents and my friends that I'd been texting that the problem was resolved by the fact that I didn't look closely enough until about a month ago. When I was like, oh, that story, that whole complaint, there was a bathroom the entire time. So that is not something I put on my Instagram page.
Do we have any more storytellers?
I went abroad to Chile through SIT, but I have a story about Ecuador, which I went to with a service learning trip through Colgate, actually. And I know that one of the categories was about food, like interesting foods that we tried. And in Highland, Ecuador, they eat guinea pig. Guinea pig is like a really like special food for them. And so the first time I tried it was in January, but it was just a little piece, so it was fine. But then I applied to work there this summer and was there for a whole month. And like the only time I had seen guinea pig was like little pieces of it, so it was fine. But this time around I went to like a cousin's graduation or something, and they brought out 3 plates of food, like really big, and I was like, good, thanks, lots of potatoes, it was wonderful. And then they brought out like the whole guinea pig, like the entire guinea pig, and I didn't know what to do because it's really disrespectful if you don't take it. And so I kind of just like nibbled at it a little bit, but eventually like my hostess there helped me out because she loved guinea pig, which was a good save. But it was something that I didn't know how to deal with, and I wish that, like it is something I don't want to like portray Ecuador as like something that it's not, because it is. I mean, I guess I'm pretty sure that they think that some of our foods are weird as well. But I do wish that I had come into the situation a little more prepared to deal with it, to say the very least.